morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, April 12th, 2019. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Bill Greene. Bank, so much to talk about. Spring game is tomorrow. This is going to be a recruiting-themed show, mostly. I mean, we're going to talk some spring game at the end of the show, but I want to start with Michael Carmody. Big news, the high four-star offensive tackle from Pennsylvania, Mars, Pennsylvania, that is. Tell the listeners the latest with Michael Carmody.
Yeah, he's supposed to be coming to Ohio State this weekend. I do not have that confirmed, but that's sort of an internet, rumor out there is that he's not going to Penn State. He's coming to Ohio State for a visit. That would be huge. I love this kid as a player, and he visited Ohio State earlier. And I think every crystal ball pick has him to Penn State, and I don't buy it. I think Ohio State is right in that thing, and I think they can get that kid. They would take him. They would love to have him. So, we'll see what happens. Him showing up will be, the first step, obviously. And then from there, what can Greg Studrawa do to, lock him down?
Yeah, it would be immense. We're talking about not just the number 11 offensive tackle in the country, but the second best player in the state of Pennsylvania, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, to steal him away from Penn State, and Michigan's in on him too. That would just be massive. And obviously it's the biggest need in this recruiting class for the Buckeyes. Hey, now I'm going to ask you about a lot of Ohio kids. And speaking of the offensive line, every time I have you on, Bank, I got to ask you about Paris Johnson. He's committed still to Ohio State. I believe, last I heard, he is coming to the spring game tomorrow. Discuss that a little bit. Is he coming to the spring game, or are you still confident he will be a Buckeye in the end?
I am confident that he's going to sign with Ohio State. That recruiting was more Paris and his mother and their relationship with Urban. That was Urban's personal recruit. He took charge of that one, and he landed the kid, as he always did. But then when he left, it kind of threw things right open. I think Paris and his mother really like Ohio State a ton. But I think when Urban left, I think it just kind of opened the door there that, maybe let's take a second lap around the field here, check everybody out again, and then let's see how we view Ohio State with Ryan Day as compared to how we viewed Ohio State with Urban Meyer. I think he's doing his due diligence before he makes the most important decision of his life up to this point. So, I have no problem with it. When things change, then things change. Things changed at Ohio State, so things changed in his recruitment then. I think if Urban stays and everything's hunky-dory at Ohio State like it has been the past 7-8 years, then he would still be committed. So I do think in the end, I think all the things that attracted him to Ohio State, minus Urban Meyer, are still there. And still top team, still can get him where he needs to go. So in the end, I think they're going to get him. But I think there's plenty of drama still ahead of us. I don't think he's going to shut off the visits. I think he's going to take all 5 official visits. And I think you and I will be having this conversation, the day after Thanksgiving. And we'll probably be right where we are right now.
Hey, it keeps everybody interested. You got to keep the Bucknutters on their toes and have a little drama out there. But, it's a good sign that he's coming to Ohio State so many times, especially lately on his own dime. Not that it's a very long drive from Cincinnati to St. Xavier.
No.
Or specifically where he lives to Columbus, but it's not like it's just 15 minutes down the road either. I like to go to a hell of a lot more Reds games when I get a chance to go to. A lot of times it's because I don't feel like I don't feel like making basically a 3.5 hour round trip and all that. But but he is coming to the spring game tomorrow, as far as you know.
I believe so.
That's huge. Okay, and then Darrion Henry, another kid out of the Cincinnati area, Cincinnati-Princeton, number 2 player in the state of Ohio. He's right behind Paris Johnson, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. Has the Ohio State offer. Last I heard, he'll be at the spring game as well. Can you confirm that? And do you think Darrion Henry will be a Buckeye?
I do. I think he really, really enjoys the recruiting process. And, I would too. And I know you would too. But I think Darrion, I think his heart's in Columbus. I think that's where he wants to be. There's no reason for him to commit now unless he feels now's the time. You know what I mean? They're going to hold that spot for him. So I have him on my list. He's in with a pen, not pencil. So I think everything's good there. I have no worries about Darrion not coming to Ohio State, but and again, it wouldn't shock me if he committed this weekend, but I don't expect that. But they're going to get him. It's just a question of when is how I look at this.
It could be on commit watch. You let me know if that's true or not this weekend. It could be Michael Drennen, H-back from Dublin Kaufman. Not necessarily at the spring game, but maybe this weekend in general. What are you hearing about Michael Drennen?
I've had him in this class for a year, probably, and have never wavered on that, never changed on that. He's another one like Darrion Henry. He has done his due diligence. He's visited probably as many schools as Darrion and Paris have. Michael's done his research. And the thing with Michael is the overriding factor, other than he loves Ohio State. Okay, don't get me wrong. But Mom really loves Ohio State. And Mama ain't going to be messed with in this one, is how I look at it. I think Mama has already made the call. And you can have your fun, enjoy your time, but at the end of the day, we're going to Ohio State, my man. So I think it's done, and I think Mom has already made the decision. Not that Michael wouldn't go there on his own either. So, but I think that one's finito.
If Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. I love it. So, and that's going to be huge right there. If the Buckeyes get the top 3 players in the state of Ohio, Paris Johnson, who's already verbally committed, as we've talked about, Darrion Henry, Michael Drennen, it looks like that's going to happen. I mean, that's great for Ryan Day and his staff. And I want to move on to the number 4 player in the state, Jaheim Thomas, Darrion Henry's high school teammate at Cincy Princeton, outside linebacker. I mean, he might be a defensive end. He's already 6'5", but we have him as an outside linebacker on 24/7 Sports. Will not be at the spring game tomorrow because he's taking the ACT, I'm told.
Right.
But
right.
The bottom line, Bank, do you think Jaheim Thomas is going to be a Buckeye in the end?
I think without question he's going to be in this class, and he may already be in this class and just has not been announced to us yet. This is the offer Jaheim really wanted. I mean, he wanted this offer badly. He may take visits with his buddies, a few more, but he may not too. He may get this, and Ohio State may be waiting to see the results of this ACT test too. So they may have really pushed him. Hey, you don't need to come to the spring game. We want you. You want us. Get that test taken. So it could be a case of that. But I have Jaheim in my class in ink, and I think it's done, and I think they know it's done. This one is more. This one is all. Was that a real offer? Which I believe it was. And if it's a real offer, he's going to take it at some point, and I think soon.
We'll skip ahead to the number 7 young man in the state because the number 5 kid, Caden Clark, is committed to Alabama, and number 6, Khalil Branham, is committed to Michigan. So, but DeaMonte Trayanum, running back from Akron-Hoban, he's actually the last of the 4 stars from the state of Ohio. There's 7 players that are 4-star or higher. Paris Johnson's the only 5-star kid in the class. So everybody from 8 and lower is a 3-star. But what's going to happen with him? What do you think is going to happen with DeaMonte? You think he is definitely going to be a Buckeye? Could he even commit this weekend?
I would say yes and possibly. Yeah, he's in my class in ink. He's been there for probably a year. Another one doing his due diligence. And really not all that much due diligence. He hasn't taken that many visits. Could he commit this weekend? Absolutely, he could. He's in this class. It's just, you know what I mean? With these kids, sometimes it's, they want to commit on their mother's birthday. They want to commit on their birthday. Who knows why? Like I said, I think DeaMonte has been in this class for a long time. And I think he knows it. And I think, Ohio State knows it. Now, when does he let the rest of us know? I don't have that answer. I mean, it absolutely could be this weekend, though, Dave. That would not shock me at all. Like I say, the guys we've mentioned here, DeaMonte and Jaheim are 1,000,000% coming to Ohio State. Darrion Henry and Michael Drennen, I've got really, man, as close to 100% as you could possibly have it is in. And then Paris, I would have as a 90-95% in. I think these are pretty cut and dried with these guys, and I think they're getting them all.
This is all great news for Ohio State. There's no doubt about it. So anybody out there that's been thinking, Ryan Day's off to a slow start, is this going to be maybe not a good recruiting class? I think Bill Greene is giving you guys much reason for optimism. One more kid I want to ask you about, then we'll move on to some actual spring game topics. This has to be a lock, right? Luke Lachey, I mean, is there any doubt he won't be in this class? Tight end from Grandview, obviously Jim Lachey's son. Luke Lachey, definitely in your class, Bill?
Brian Day wants him in this class. This is just one phone call. One phone call away, you know. And they could have the secretary call him and just say, hey, Ryan told me to give you a call, and you're offered, and we want you to commit. And he'd say, okay, thank you, Mr. Secretary. I'm in. Tell Ryan I'm in. It'd be one of those. This is going to be a very easy recruitment. I think they're going to take him. I think they want to, you know, they're in on so many tight ends, and I understand that, but I think they're going to take two, and I think he's the one they like the most. There's 5 tight ends in Ohio right now holding Power 5 offers. I mean, this is a great tight end group, but I think he's the one that fits their system best. I think he's the one they like the best, and, you know, he when they want him, and if they want him, he's going to be a Buckeye immediately.
It's got the bloodlines. It's going to be fun covering a Lachey if that happens. I mean, they don't come any better as far as just being a good guy as Jim Lachey. He has every reason to be kind of a cocky guy and kind of big-time people. None of that with Jim Lachey. He is legitimately one of the best guys out there. So I'm really for this to happen.
Let me add that Luke is also just, you know, the apple didn't fall far from the tree there. He is a really, really nice kid, you know, and like you say, you know, son of an NFL superstar, Ohio State superstar, the voice of the Buckeyes, all that. You think this kid could have a little bit of, you know, look at me in him, but there's none. He is so classy, very humble. He's everything you really like in a recruit from an attitude standpoint. And a lot of these guys are. I would say that about this 2020 class in Ohio. It's just loaded with quality kids. And Luke is certainly one of them. I mean, like I say, if he ends up at Ohio State and you end up covering him, you will think the same of him as you do his dad. I promise you.
That's awesome. Yeah, and no surprise. All right, spring game tomorrow, high noon. If people can't make it to the Horseshoe, first of all, you should. It's going to be nice weather, $5 tickets. Obviously, it's a great bargain if you're out there. If you're a parent with young kids and you can't afford to, maybe you can't afford to go to a regular season game, but you don't want to drop all that money. What a great, you know, time to bring your kids to the game because they feel like they're in Ohio State like a regular season game. They don't know the difference, and you know you're paying $5 to get in. But if you can't go to the game tomorrow, it will be televised live on Big Ten Network. What are you looking forward to the most tomorrow, Bank? Is it clearly the quarterbacks? Is it something else? What are you going to be keeping your eye on the most tomorrow?
Well, I'm the one that has preached for 15 years that the spring game is the most overrated event, overhyped. You can draw no conclusions from it at all. So, you know, to stay true and consistent, I mean, that's really how I feel. Now, there are many conclusions you can draw from it. Not major, oh, my God, this guy's clearly better than this guy conclusions. You do not draw those in the spring game. You don't have a real O-line. They're split up on each side of the team. Some are hurt. Some aren't playing. Some aren't here yet. When you don't have the real O-line, you don't have the real offense. So you can't tell. Plus, when they want to get everybody into this game, for lack of a better word, so they're going to put the walk-on safety. They'll throw him out there and let him play cornerback. He can't cover tight ends as a safety, but now he's got to cover, you know, Austin Mack. So Austin Mack runs by him, makes a touchdown, and it's like, oh, my God, Austin Mack's so much better. No, he was guarded by a guy as fast as Dave Biddle. That doesn't mean anything. So a lot of those things come up where, you know, if Justin Fields goes 6 for 13 and Matthew Baldwin goes 12 for 12, it doesn't mean Matthew Baldwin should be the starter, even though I know we're going to read that for 6 months. I know that. It means nothing, okay? But what you can draw from it is people you haven't seen before. Like, I know what J.K. Dobbins can do. I know who he is. I don't know Justin Fields, and I want to see Justin Fields just to see his presence, to see his size, to see his speed, because speed is speed, whether he's going against you or Deion Sanders. So Justin Fields and Matthew Baldwin, of course you want to see him, but I don't think you draw life-changing conclusions from what you see. Garrett Wilson, I've never seen Garrett Wilson in an Ohio State uniform. To see the size, the speed, the cutting ability, the hands. Of course, I mean, we watch and we love it, but, you know, they've had a ton of practices so far, and I think those practices will mean more to Ryan Day than what he's going to see on Saturday. It's just it's a show for the fans is what it is, and it's what it should be. And like you said, this is your chance as a fan that can't get tickets, and, you know, it's first come, first serve. So when they open the gates, you get there early, and you stand there outside that gate, and you run down there, and you sit on the 50-yard line 10 rows back, a place you're never going to get to sit again the rest of your life. That's the beauty of this thing to me.
Great insights, as always, from Bill Greene. Thank you very much, Bank, and thanks to our listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear the Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.